When the guns fell silent in northern Uganda, it was all joy and happiness for the people who went through a 20-year-old LRA insurgency. It was time to rebuild their lives. With support from government and civil society organizations, the camps were disbanded and the people returned to their ancestral land to rebuild their lives. But this was not to be for many women, especially widows and orphans in Lango sub-region. Many became destitute as relatives and in-laws grabbed their land.
One of the major aims of this project was at least support women to be in a position to own, access and control land and utilize that land productively. To date, for the last 3 years, around 355 women have been in position to acquire and access and own land.
Cultural taboos further barred women from owning land, and many lost their land this way, thus ending up in abject poverty. It is at this point that Action Aid intervened. Armed with a mission to fight injustice and poverty, in 2008, the NGO quickly set up camp in Ugur in Lira, Minakulu in Oyam, and Aduku in Apache to fight for women land rights. With the support of Alistair Berkley Charitable Trust in 2012 and other partners, Action Aid reached out to more villages. So far, 335 women have been assisted in reclaiming land amounting to 552 acres.
The proceeds from the livestock, the village savings that we have initiated in the community, they are now able to pay fees. Someone is now able to change diet.
Action Aid has helped a lot. People know the rights of women related to land, and we are receiving few cases. And once a widow reports a case here, community fears that it is Action Aid handling this case. So cultural leaders are now very articulate, they are now very aware.
Nyangoma is happy to remain on this piece of land. She had narrowly lost it to her stepson following the death of her husband in 2013. As she mourned the death of her husband then, her stepson hatched a plan to grab the land. He first suggested to take her as a wife, and when she refused, he resorted to violence. Together with her 8 children, she became homeless and braved cold nights in the bush until Action Aid through Awe Wat came to her rescue. Through mediation, she got her land back. She is now able to farm and send her children to school. Nyangoma currently uses the proceeds from the land to pay school fees for her children and meet other needs. She is also a member of Action Aid Village Savings Scheme and has so far saved 280,000 shillings. In Nambieso, in the same district, is Kellen Odongo. She is a happy woman with a vision to finish her permanent residence. Kellen, though, is recovering from poverty that she had been immersed in when her in-laws drove her out of her property following the death of her husband in 2007. She lost 6 acres of land, a shop and cattle to her greedy in-laws. Stranded, she attempted to get redress from both local and cultural leaders to no avail.
I remember when we came, she was in conflict with the in-law. We said women also have the same equal rights like men. Even before the court of law, each and everybody is equal.
But Kellen did not lose hope. And as soon as she heard that she could get assistance from a partner organization with Action Aid Uganda, the campaign against domestic violence in the community, Kadovik, she went over to them to lodge her complaint. Kadovik's mediators rushed to her rescue and talked her in-laws into returning her property. Kellen, to this day, still regards the return of her land, shop and cows as a miracle. She is now using the proceeds from her farm to construct a permanent residence. In Minakulu, Wayam district, land grabbing was rife, but Action Aid's land rights program stemmed the vice. Margaret Ariema is one of the beneficiaries of the program. When her husband died in 1995, her in-laws evicted her and her 5 children from their homestead. It was not until 2013 that Action Aid, through the land rights program, intervened to help her get back her 4-acre piece of land through mediation. Margaret also has her stock of chicken and goats from Action Aid. So far, she has saved 400,000 shillings with her village and savings scheme.
Adongo chokoro chunya ya nang dong tabera yum dango tamme ya diel tia gwako digina ni diela ni en tia gwako dako diga bit chama tia gwako gwena nang do dako gwena boro adang dong tido gwako tura kan adang tura ni do ati yedu ngabonga yela moro kom do tido ngabonga peho.
With the kind of mediation that Action Aid has initiated, then it is bringing a lot of peace within the society, because when conflict arises, it is solved in a satisfactory manner that satisfies every kind of person complaining against each other.
Prior to Action Aid's land rights program, many women lost land to in-laws and relatives. Claiming land was a taboo. But now this is changing. The Land Rights Project has embarked on an awareness campaign, not only for the vulnerable women, but also the cultural and local leaders. Land ownership is now shifting in favor of the women. And the message seems to be sinking in among the cultural leaders.
Basically, about Action Aid. Tabino me yowa manuals mogo copy mogo me o constitution o me yowa mogo me local government act o no eno kene o child rights o no eno kene o copy com o le yamata.
Action Aid Uganda.
Weekly radio talk shows on land rights have also come in handy, reaching all corners of the sub-region, much to the relief of disadvantaged women. Besides access to land, Action Aid has also extended farm inputs to women folk. Several women have received goats and chicken, which have since multiplied.
I really have to say and thank the donor for offering us that support, because at least I see changes in our communities we are working in.
The project also had a business component. Women were not only trained in savings, but also business skills. It is through such trainings by the Barlonia community concerned for development that Rose Okao picked interest in business. Together with other women, she now sells various agricultural produce to fend for her family in Barlonia, Lira district.
Ana ma tam go ji che dang thi da cha ro la ina cha ro bel na tu cha tero a chu le kwanu ten tu cha la wi lo kwa cho bun pa su wi le gi che ma cha ma.
In the trading center is another beneficiary of similar business training. Scovia Akello started her business with a 30,000 shillings loan from Barlonia Community Concern for Development. She invested her startup capital in a pancake business and is now a proud owner of this shop. Akello is grateful to Action Aid for the skills she acquired during the training.
Ma wele gweno aya gweno ya manang tie tidang anyual aka en no kene welo tino da kera lam mono magoba me an tia nuonge te balisa kwa no me action o ke reactionero kelo.
And as the sun sets over Balonyo, these enterprising women soldier on, content to sell their produce without going through middlemen. To sink the message deeper, Action Aid reached out to religious leaders. Through several trainings, religious leaders like catechist Tony Odongo took the anti-land grabbing gospel to the pulpit. He has now made it a point to preach against grabbing of vulnerable women's land at St. Mathieu Aduliek in Oyam. His gospel has seen land conflicts reduce in Miene sub-county.
Miamironia po Action Aid. Pipuonyere amegeno mio borwa kiriboto tedero roma papat. Omio monto apol amane tida do bedo loba chwargo to wekege. Manono ginana neno ber Action Aid yere. Omio akarmel da wano tichoba. Ngech ikireme dueko jowa ka tubereti ya kinage amago kop melobo meta kwaro.
Domestic violence and abuse of women's rights are common in Lango, leading to many cases of marriage breakdown. This is the kind of situation Inastino found herself in. After being chased by her in-laws, she returned home to settle on a 5-acre piece of land she inherited from her late mother in Atel, Minakulu. This, however, did not go down well with her brother. He connived with relatives and had her driven out of the land. Inastino found herself with no place of abode until Minakulu Action for Development came to her aid. The relatives eventually gave back the land. Inastino is now engaged in large-scale farming of beans.
Dong Action Aid te bino konya ikopi kom lobo. Ameo minna nu kela yela ye ni miero. Ana doho ko kana meriko nyoma ye. Enta mane ni Action Aid konya te gamu lobo na ni dugi chia.
She is also steadily multiplying the chicken and goats she received from Action Aid to meet domestic and school demands for her children. Because of her hard work, her elder son has been able to join a vocational institute and another is having uninterrupted studies in a secondary school.
We have helped over 200 people through mediation. And even the chairman, LC3 of Minakulu, who is just working now, we went for his case and we helped them to resolve the case successfully.
Still in Minakulu, the Women Land Rights Program continues to register amazing milestones. The Women's Savings Group has so far banked 3,108,000 shillings. Most of the women in this group recovered their grabbed land with assistance of Action Aid through Minakulu Action for Development Organization. Serena Achen, who hails from Arat Parish, Oyam, is a member. She is highly regarded as one of the richest widows in her village. When Achen lost her husband in 1990, she found herself engaged in a losing battle for her land. Cultural norms in Lango do not favor women when it comes to land inheritance. It was not until 2013 that Action Aid through Minakulu Reflect Group helped her to get her land back after mediation. Achen is now into large-scale farming of soya beans, maize and cassava. Achen also used some of the proceeds she got from the chicken and goats she received from Action Aid to buy cows as well as build up her savings in the Women's Savings Group.
Dan jama tia ti gina men pore kada wuni bini bing nena wuno nuni tia ti gina me be mana tia puru nyage apura eka saria soya tia eka sangwen omogo tia eka sachiel.
We really need to carry on this sensitization, particularly to change the perception and the thinking of the community towards women.
Nonetheless, most women agree that Action Aid's land rights project prevented the disenfranchisement of hundreds of women who had been on the verge of becoming landless and destitute because of bad societal practices.
I want bad yell. Bad yell, no.